Humphrey, you get over 30,000 a year. That's 7,000 more than I get.
Yes, but still a relatively modest wage.
Relative to whom?
Well, Elizabeth Taylor, for example.
Humphrey, you are not relative to Elizabeth Taylor. There are important differences.
Indeed, yes. She didn't get a first at Oxford.
And you do not retire into obscurity. You take a massive index-linked pension and go off to become directors of oil companies and banks.
Ah, yes, but very obscure directors, Minister.
It is common for our nation's leaders to act as agents of the globalist system when they are elected to be agents of a nationalist system. Out of curiosity, I had a look at some of my nation's former leaders, and a disturbing pattern emerges. The two top politicians in Dáil Éireann are the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach. I shall run through a few of these to summarise what they have been up to since they retired from politics. John Bruton was Taoiseach from 1994 to 1997. He is currently a faculty member at Dublin City University, School of Law and Government. He is a recipient of Sweden's Royal Order of the Polar Star. He is the chairman of IFSC Ireland. He is an advisor to Fair Observer. He holds honorary doctorates from the University of Newfoundland and the University of Missouri. Let us break that one down. Universities are highly international. International students, international conferences, visiting academics, joint research, international funding, etc. If you were a Taoiseach who fought the globalist system from which universities benefit, how likely would they be to give you a faculty membership or an honorary doctorate? What about IFSC Ireland? Would they want a nationalist as chairman? John Bruton's role as chairman is to promote Ireland as a location of choice for international finance services. The answer is no. What about Fair Observer? Are they for or against nationalism? Their mission is to inform and educate global citizens of today and tomorrow. There are no nations in a global world. This is a problem. How can you expect the most powerful politicians to act for the people of Ireland first if they are hoping to receive lots of rewards from those who rely on a globalist system? I do not see that they can. If they push for nationalism, then A, there is no guarantee that they will succeed, or succeed without a compromise, or have their success undone later, and B, there is a guarantee that the enemies of nationalism, Fair Observer, IFSC, universities, will not reward them. But why should it matter if the IFSC or the University of Missouri will or will not reward you? The trouble is that a pattern emerges that these kinds of entities will reward you if you are a Taoiseach. A Taoiseach can observe the pattern and assume that he is in line for some kind of a reward as long as he does not blow it by being a nationalist. Bertie Ahern was a Taoiseach too. He was appointed to an international advisory group on conflict resolution, an international group, globalism. He is on the advisory board of Parker Green International, a multinational corporation. Multinational, globalist. He was chairman of the International Forestry Fund, international, globalist. He is part of the Washington Speakers Bureau and spoke at the World Internet Conference in Wuzhen. International conferences are globalist. He has an honorary doctorate from Washington College, Maryland, a university, globalist. He is chairman of the Referendum Commission for the Autonomous Region of Bougainville, Papua New Guinea. International commissions, globalism. Bertie Ahern's successor, Brian Cowen, was on the board of Topaz Energy. Topaz was a Canadian multinational, a multinational globalist. He has an honorary doctorate from the National University of Ireland, Galway, another university, globalism. Enda Kenny, Brian Cowen's successor, is now chair of the Global Advisory Board for VentureWave Capital. VentureWave Capital chooses whether or not to invest, partly based on whether or not the investment advances at least one United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. This is globalist. Enda Kenny is also on the board of Henihan Strategic Communications, a PR lobby firm that is part of BWC Global. BWC Global believes, quote, "A culture of intentional inclusion is critical to our success," unquote. Intentional inclusion sounds like anti-white. This is globalist. John Bruton was not a fluke. The next 3 Taoiseach in a row after him find themselves rewarded by the globalist system. What is today's Taoiseach to assume is in store for him after he retires, if he plays his cards right? So much for the Taoiseach. What about the Taoiseach, the number 2 head honcho? Are they facing the same temptations? The answer is yes and yes. Yes, in the sense that Ahern and Cowan were Taoiseach before they were Taoiseach. And yes, in the sense that the Taoiseach, who never made it to Taoiseach, also got their rewards from the globalist system. Dick Spring became a UN envoy and a director of Aircom and of Allied Irish Bank. The UN and banks are international in nature and globalist. Mary Harney has an honorary doctorate from Trinity College and is Chancellor of the University of Limerick, 2 universities. She has done international speaking in New York and Berlin. She is on the board of Euro Insurances, an Irish subsidiary of the Dutch leasing giant LeasePlan, a multinational insurance company. She is also on the board of Biocon, which is based out of Bangalore. The international globalist system has been beneficial for this former Taoiseach. Michael McDowell is currently serving as a senator, and he has a column with the Irish Times, so he's not done yet. Time will tell if he is hoping for a ticket on the gravy train. He can certainly look forward to it, based on the other examples so far and to come. Mary Coughlan appears to be an exception. So far, she is only the chair of the National Conference on Women and Farming and secretary of St. Noel's GAA Club. So far, she seems content not to sell out to the globalist system. We are back on form with Eamon Gilmore. He is an adjunct professor at DCU's School of Law and Government and a visiting professor in Budapest, with an honorary doctorate from Galway. He has lectured all over the world. He is deep in academia, deep in globalism. He is a member of the External Advisory Board for the National University of Ireland Galway, as is former Labour Party leader Pat Rabbitte. Gilmore is also a board member of the International Advisory Board of the Alpbach Forum in Austria, and was an EU Special Envoy to the Colombian peace process, and an EU Special Representative for Human Rights. EU, need I say more? He received the Legion d'Honneur and the Order of San Carlos. Joan Burton is still a politician, but can confidently expect to be in line for various globalist prizes. Francis Fitzgerald got kicked upstairs and is a member of the European Parliament. The EU again, globalist to the core. If you were a Taoiseach or a Taoiseach, would you be a nationalist under these conditions? It seems all but a certainty that you will get something as long as you do not blow it. The result is that these men and women do not blow it, at least not for themselves. Their country and people are another matter. But the rot goes even deeper. These Taoiseach and Taoiseach took time to become what they became. Previously they were party leaders, deputy party leaders, leaders of the opposition, parliamentary secretaries to ministers. They were ministers for finance, industry, trade, commerce, tourism, energy, labour, arts, culture, Gaeltacht, defence, agriculture, social protection, education, environment, health, foreign affairs, justice, and so on. They were also chief whips, lord mayors, and attorney generals. Thus, anyone hoping to be a Taoiseach or Taoiseach but hasn't gotten there yet is already compromised as if they already were. The entire cabinet is half expecting the globalist rewards, so it is compromised. I have not looked at former ministers, but it is clear from the examples set by the Taoiseach and Taoiseach that there is an implicit globalist bribe in place in Dáil Éireann, and I'm sure other governments around the world, in exactly the same manner. Any nationalist who gets to power must, on day one, outlaw politicians working after they retire from politics. Until that corrupting influence is taken out of the equation, no populist leader can be fully trusted, and no populist or nationalist reforms can be trusted to last.